My name's Marsha Frost, and I'm from Oneida, Kentucky. And I am a Civil War reenactor. And I got started by being a chaperone for my children in high school. And I was just a helper. Made sure the girls and the boys didn't fraternize after the events of the day. And the president of the Laurel Home Guard that hosts the Civil War reenactment called Camp Wildcat was the president, and she said, we need help. So I jumped in, started helping, and the ROTC group was doing their help by the parking and picking up the trash and concessions, whatever needed to be done during the event. And we just fell in love with it, and we started being chaperones pretty much just about every year for my oldest, my middle, and my youngest. They all did a stint in ROTC, and they all did Camp Wildcat. Well, when my last child was in ROTC, she needed a secretary, so I got to be secretary for a while. And I would go pick up, do the minutes of the meetings, and the 3-day event takes all year long to prepare. A lot of people don't see all that. There's logistics, there's this, there's that, and Camp Wildcat is one of the few reenactments that feeds you about, let's see, Friday we do hamburgers and french fries for reenactor dinner about 4:30, 5 o'clock for the reenactors who are here. Saturday we do a big dinner. Then on Sunday we do an officer's breakfast. So there's 3 big meals that we feed the reenactors. And the ROTC group would help serve, all that fun stuff. I'm probably going to be all over the place because there's so much information. But we've been helping with this event for about 12 years, I want to say. And 3 years ago, I got voted to be president. And it is a labor of love. Can be very stressful. You try to make everybody happy. You can't make everybody happy. That's just a given in anything you do. But you do what you can. And I've been able to actually start putting the reenactor clothes on when I became president. I felt that if you're coming to a reenactment event, yeah, most of the helpers, they're running around in jeans and t-shirts. It's a lot easier to get a lot done if you don't have a corset and a hoop and all the garb that goes with being back in 1860s. But I feel that I'm coming to see a reenactment, I'm coming to see Civil War, and we boast that we're transporting you back in time. Let's have the helpers and the staff be in that time. So I put on the dresses. We put on the clothes. My husband put on the men's uniforms. And it just became so much fun. You just become a family with everybody that comes out and does this. Not only are we trying to teach these kids, especially like the ROTC kids that come out and help, we want them to understand, because everybody says it was about slavery. Yes, that was a part of it, but it wasn't all of it. There's more to the Civil War than just the slavery, and you got to do your research, and a lot of the reenactors will tell you, do your own research, get your own opinion. They also say use at least 3 sources, because you're going to hear different things from different ones, and then form your own opinion. And we're losing that today. And I always said I was born in the wrong time. Should have been born in this time frame, the Scarlett O'Hara time frame. One of my favorite movies, Gone with the Wind, Scarlett O'Hara. And you just, the camaraderie and the people And the family is amazing. We just did a national event, Chickamauga, and just trying to unload and get ready and to pack up and go home. Everybody jumps in to help everybody, and you miss that. You miss a lot of that in just our day-to-day. I try to do it in my day-to-day. Pay it forward, help each other out. But Civil War was just such a classy era, especially before the war, and just how people lived back then. Everything was cooked over the fire, cast iron skillets, and you get to play with all that neat stuff. You get to experience all that neat stuff. The tintype photo, and I get civilians, I like to call them, if I'm in my period clothes, stop me and say, "Can I take a picture?" And they'll say, "Smile." You don't see Civil War photos of people smiling because it took 3 to 5 minutes. We did a tintype at Chickamauga, and they've got metal stands, and it holds your neck, and you have to hold your pose for a good 10 minutes. And I fell in love with all of that stuff, and that's why I do what I do. But to put an event on, you got to be a good organizer. You got to be able to navigate and delegate and make sure everybody's in the right spot, the right time, and the right place. And it's definitely a labor of love, because it's a thankless job, is what some of the other event coordinators would say, because you do all of this and nobody sees what we're doing behind the scenes. I mean, I was just the secretary, and just the stuff that I would do behind and back here, everybody's like, "Well, don't you know this person? Don't you know that person?" And I'm like, I'm in the barn. I'm married to the barn. I can't be out there and I don't see everybody. Yeah, people come and ask me questions, and I'm going, "Oh, crap. Okay, let me find out for you. I'll get back to you." Being the president, they're still doing that, but because I'm the president, I'm like, okay, I need to have these answers when somebody comes to me. So now I'm more up front, more out and front and center. I don't like to be front and center, but here we are. And some of the standards, a lot of the reenactors would say Wildcat would be considered a Farby event. Farby is kind of like, okay, you're trying to be a reenactor, but you don't have the proper attire, you don't have the right time frame, or that's the cheap outfit, you need this outfit, or kind of deal. And then there's the national events, and my opinion on that is we need the little Farby events, the little events, because Wildcat is, I could say it's a big event. It's big to me because you get about 400 or 500 reenactors, and then you get about 2,000 to 4,000 spectators coming through, and they're talking to you. That's a lot of people coming at you in 3 days. It's not that big compared to Chickamauga, when there was, I want to say on the registry, there was 2,400 reenactors. Wow. 2,400 reenactors. I do not know the cannon count, but at least on my line there was at least, I ran the cannon at Chickamauga with a crew. How many? 12? Maybe 15 on my line. I don't know how many was on the other line. It's too far away to see, and I wasn't walking over there. But our little event, 20 cannons, and to get everybody coordinated and knowing which way to go, who to talk to, it's a lot. I've been holding the one thing that I got told that I had do different. Of course, everybody does everything different. I like to get the commanders all together. We all have meetings once a month, once every couple of months, and then down to the wire. Okay, it's almost October. We got 20 days. We're having a meeting once a week, making sure everything's done, making sure we have what we need. We sell concessions. We do. We've got about, I want to say 18 settlers, maybe. I think coming this year. That's a lot. We normally have 10. I could be wrong on the number. I'm hoping I'm wrong because that's a lot of settlers. We have at least 20 cannons. Trying to get a website together. That's another thing that I have to do. I've got an IT guy, calling my IT guy. He puts the website together, but I got to make sure all the information's right and there, and he knows where and what, and there's just so much that nobody sees that I know you're going to be following me, and this is just an interview, and I do go all over the place just because there's so much, and I guess I should have wrote things down and just categorized it, but there's just so much up here, and it just comes all out.
Yeah. Well, when you were younger, I mean, were you into history?
I hated history. I hated history in high school. Of course, I was one of those students in the school system that kind of slipped through the cracks. I never met my counselor, never talked to her. They hit me senior year. They said, you don't have enough social studies and history credits. My senior year was chorus, algebra, and the last 4 periods was social studies, some kind of history. And after you're sitting 4 hours in a different history class, okay, you're done. I don't want to know nothing. Don't come at me with history. And then you're getting it out of the books. Here, you're playing history. I seen the very first Wildcat while I was a chaperone. I got goose chills. I felt the camaraderie, even though I was just a chaperone and helping and making sure the ROTC kids were doing what they were supposed to be doing. I'm like, this is amazing. Then the guy that plays General Lee, lovely David Schultes, great guy to sit and listen to, and all the history and what he knows and the real stuff that the school books don't tell you. Another gentleman that would be an amazing person to sit in front of your camera would be a David Owens. He was a scholar, a history scholar for the Army. He wrote books on this actual event, these grounds. He could give you the breakdown on everything. And just to listen to those two gentlemen talk, I said, if I had these two in front of me at school, I think I would have learned a lot more. Because they can talk and hold your attention, and just a wealth of knowledge. And that's when I fell in love with history. Here, after high school, almost 20 years later, because I couldn't stand it. So I encourage any child, any student, if they hear of a reenactment in their area, check it out. Talk to the older people. Talk to the reenactors, because they know their stuff. They will... I'm still learning, and because while I'm trying to host this event, I've not put a lot of study. I do study the history, so I know some, but not what some of these other reenactors know. Compared to them, I don't know nothing. I have no clue. And I'll tell you, I'm still learning. And I just encourage everybody to try and learn their history. Don't Yes, pay attention to your teachers. Listen to what they have to say. There is some knowledge there. But if you want to have fun and learn history, come to a reenactment. Not just Civil War reenactment. There's Revolutionary War reenactments. There's WW2. There's all kinds of stuff. That's a whole nother train to get on. Shoo-wee. But it's where you will get most of your knowledge and most of your history, not what you hear from the media, not what you hear. Like the rebel flag is not what it means. I used to have it screenshot on my phone and I used to have it memorized, but it's been a long time. But there's an actual meaning to the colors, to the X's, to the stars. Look it up. Use 3 different sources. Learn it. It's not about slavery. It's not about racism. It's about our history, our heritage. A lot of our Laurel Home Guard t-shirts, on our sleeves, it's got that flag and it says heritage, not hate. Because that's what it is. It's exactly what it is. There's a gentleman that goes to some of these other reenactments. His name's Gregory Newsom. He's got several books out. He's a man of color. Very intelligent man. An amazing painter. And I've got the privilege of being at some events, being a guide to some of the school children, and listen to his stories. And the history and what he did, his research and his knowledge. And it'll make you cry. And just a sweet, amazing man. And Google him. You can find him on Facebook, and he's got very. I kind of wish I had my. I bought. He has a lot of paintings that he himself has done. One of his stories is he passed down a scholarship. A gentleman was going to offer him a scholarship. The gentleman's name is Norman Rockwell.
Oh, wow.
Was going to send him to school for his art. That's how good he is. So he's very, very knowledgeable, and if you can find his paintings, by all means look them up. Look them up. He has used David Chaltis as a model, and David Chaltis portrays General Lee. So those and then Tom Wright, he portrays our Abraham Lincoln. Very knowledgeable man. Just that's our history. That's our ancestor. That's if you do your genealogy. I have uncles that fought several battles on both sides. I have a book of a Union soldier, he was my uncle, Samuel Huddleston. He survived 20 battles in the Civil War, and that's almost unheard of. 20 battles. One of them was Chickamauga. One of them was Resaca, Georgia. Just do your genealogy. I guarantee you somebody is a soldier somewhere on Union or Confederate. That's where you learn your history.
Yeah, I have a relative from Maine. He was a Union soldier, and we have a picture of him. He's in a captain's uniform, but when I had him checked out at the Richmond thing, they said he went in as a private, came out as a private. So, it must have been after he became a captain, because but he's buried there in California. And I did little research, but I actually got a paper that I can write to the government and get his military records and stuff. I'd like to do that.
You need to do it.
I'd like to find out what battles. I know he was from Maine, but where? What?
Yeah.
He was in the Maine unit.
Do you have it? So you have his full name?
Yes.
the reason I know so much about Samuel Huddleston, and he did a book, he was writing newspaper articles during the war. And my aunt, my father's sister, this is my father right here. I lost him last year, in November. But she was able to find all of his clippings, and she wrote the book. And I have it, and I've been able to read it, and that's how I've learned a lot about him. And here at our event, we do a memorial, and the Confederate Bells of Tennessee, which I'm a part of, we dress in our morning attire, and we place a wreath, and we do a program of scripture, of music. I don't know exactly what all we've got planned this year. For that, we change out the wreath, and we place roses, because there are graves up on the hill. And those who know the names of their fallen soldiers, be it Confederate, be it Union, we're all family. That's all of our history. We do that for them every year. Not many reenactments. I've been to several reenactments, and so far mine's the only one that I've noticed that's done it. But we do this for them. We do this for us to keep our history alive.
Well, we're sorry for your loss.
Appreciate
it. And I have a two-part question.
Okay.
In your capacity as the president, do you try to stick in a period, where you basically don't acknowledge the modern world? Do you stick with the period time?
While I'm at the event?
I mean, I know it's difficult because you've got so many things you're coordinating and running, but do you try to stick with that in that?
Yeah.
And then also, do you portray a certain woman in history?
That part I don't. My impression for during our event is a lady of class. I say not someone in particular, but because I am president, I hold myself to a standard. And that's just my personal preference. Many different event coordinators can do however they want. Like, before I was trying to hold that standard and get everybody in dress, we did red t-shirts with our name on it that told people, hey, you're part of Laurel Home Guard, because Laurel Home Guard has kind of adapted the blue, gray, red, white, and blue colors, because blue for Union or Federal, whichever way you want to call them, and then the gray for the Confederate, for the South. So, and then, red, white, and blue for patriotic, because every reenactor you come across is going to be very patriotic. So, my personal preference and what I like to see, what I would love, more event coordinators to do, but that's just me. I'm out there. I'm a line officer with General Lee, and I want them to see, because the spectators, as I'm walking and making sure the children don't come across that line, because we don't want them trampled by the soldiers or the horses, they stop me and they say, what is your clothes? I've had school clique kids, like, I'm in the period clothing now. They ask me what these are for, why this is my undersleeves. By a certain time of day, until a certain time of day back then, you couldn't show skin. It just gives everybody, hey, you're in front of me, I can ask you these questions, and it just teaches them everything. And even before I started buying the clothes, I'm researching, and I'm going, okay, pantaloons. What the heck is a pantaloon? The chemise. What the heck is a chemise? What's that for? Why? Basically, the chemise helps protect your skin with the corset, because the corset, after you've had it on for eight hours, will pinch the fire out of you, give you blisters, rub you raw. Because granted, there's boning in here, and back then it was actual whale bone. And whalebone, I'm sure didn't move very good. This is hard to move in right now, but I mean, there is some give. Last year I did a boo-boo. I sat down at the table, went to have dinner, and I leaned over to take a bite, and I have asthma. So as I'm trying to eat, I sent myself into an asthma attack. So I'm walking down Sutler Row. My friend's holding me so I'm not being shown. And she's trying to get me out of this and get me out of the corset because I couldn't catch my breath. So that was a fun trip. But I was okay. And now I know better. Don't bend over to try to eat when you're in the corset. But I try to come Friday morning. Now, Monday through Thursday, you'll see me in jeans and what I call the red shirt, or kind of a funny football, British are coming, the red coats are coming. We're in the red shirt because when you're out here, there's a lot of blue and gray. You can pick out that red shirt and say, oh, I can ask them something, or
an event coordinator.
Yeah, we can figure out what we need, or if we need a medic or whatever. But I try. Friday morning, the school kids come by 8 o'clock. So I'm up at 6:30, 7 o'clock. The stockings. Granted, I don't have the period boots yet, but I'm working on that because every piece is expensive. Mm-hmm. Every piece. I think the cheapest thing is fans. $5, or if you get them at the Dollar Tree, $1. Granted, this is not period correct, but my sandalwood fan, which I don't have with me right now, but it goes with the dress. The gloves, Amazon, 2 for $10. That's cheap. The pantaloons and the chemise, $20 a piece maybe. Corset, if you get a good corset, maybe $50. You could get one on Amazon for $25. The hoops, about $25. Now the dress. Yeah, you can get them off Amazon, but you gotta be careful. Sometimes Amazon clothes will look costumey. Reenactors do not like their clothing called costumes. I like to call it my Civil War regalia, my floofies. I have floofed out because I feel like a big puffball. But it gives you grace. It makes you...
Your postures.
Yes. You're a lady. You become a lady. And yeah, I'm a woman. Hear me roar. I can do what a man can do. But by golly, I want to be considered a lady.
No, not to be indelicate.
Exactly. Right now, I'm actually inappropriate, but it's a little warm in here. The only time I should have my gloves off is if I'm sitting down for tea or having a meal. So.
What I was going to say about the restroom.
The restroom?
Yeah.
Okay, that's easy.
Okay.
That's why at the Civil War reenactments, you see the handicap porta potties are not just for the handicap. They are for the women in hoops. Okay. Because the handicaps fit better, and most women, depending on their preference, the pantaloons could be open, no crotch in the middle. So basically, if they squat, your setter's bare.
Okay. So
they'll go to the porta-john. They will flip that dress up over their heads and just sit. Okay? That's easy. Not a problem. But I've been known to sit down on the grass. I don't want open pantaloons. I don't.
Yeah.
No, that's just my preference. But that's easy. And even for me, it's not that difficult. I've got it down to a science once you get used to it. Like, right, the way I'm sitting, yeah, my dress kind of flows out this way. You can tell there's something holding it out. But the women will do a lot of tucking. And the hoops do give. But it's just an art.
Yeah, well, like I say, I didn't want to be
Right.
indelicate, but
Well,
it is a historical thing.
It is.
How did they manage everyday living?
It's learning, and back then the restrooms weren't like they are now. They were the outhouses and just a hole. So they would just go and
do
what I said, to flip it up and go.
Okay.
And now, if they're at home, they're not going to be, in the hoop a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some camp dresses where I'm at camp and I don't have the hoop. So, but it does go to my ankles. And I tease my daughter a lot, because I said, now, you can't wear your shorts to Camp Wildcat, because if a guy sees your ankles, you got to get married. Because if a man did see your ankles, that was inappropriate, and you better be marrying this gentleman, because you're not supposed to show your ankles. That's a no-no. So, that's what, and then Miss Tanya, she can tell you about the children's clothing, and a lot of the children's clothing, they could have their hems up because they did a lot of running and carrying on, and the hems dropped when they hit a certain age. So she's got more information on that because she's got the young girls, and she has all of that information. My young girl is 21, so she's already in the big, But there is you fall in love with it. If you don't fall in love with it, then it wasn't meant for you. But I get to play Scarlett O'Hara. That's what I like to say, and I did my genealogy, and I'm actually related to the lady that wrote.
Oh, I'll be darned.
Margaret Mitchell. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yes, there's a lot of. Do your genealogy, learn your history, because our government and our world today want to erase it, and that's why I do what I do. Because that's what made me. That's why I'm here. If it wasn't for my ancestors who did what they did in the 1800s and beyond, wouldn't be here. That's what made me who I am today. So,
we do appreciate that.
How important do you think it is for the younger generation to really know history? And
it's extremely important, because we don't want to repeat the mistakes that we're making. And the way we're going to repeat the mistakes we made. And I don't want to do that, but that's where we're headed. I recommend it to everybody. Get that history book. Get several references. Get your encyclopedias. Yeah, everything's digitized. Everything's online. But when I was in school, it was the encyclopedias. You got to read these big books. Do it. Learn it. Love it. Fall in love with your family. Fall in love with yourself. Because that's what made you. Is your family, your history, your heritage. It gets lost because people don't. That's racist. That's this. No. That's what made us America. That's what made us who we are. Love it. Be a part of it. My aunt told me, she said, Marsha, you could write a book. And I said, what? Nobody wants to hear my story? Why would they want to hear my story? I have not done anything. I will tell, with everything that we have done with Wildcat, with the flooding, with losing everything, with me organizing everybody, we rebuilt the event in 6 months. 6 months. We lost it. The day before school day started, we were still 2 o'clock in the morning painting the tables to be ready to hold it off. I come off of that field from the skirmish from the school day. I was in tears because I said, by God, I did it. I had an amazing team. I had an amazing crew. We had to rip everything off the walls. We had to start over. No refrigerators, no stoves. And to show you the pictures of what it was before the flood, and then now you would say, wow. Because I say wow. And I was here for it.
Wow, that's awesome.
And just... even with my kids, you know, some of the things that I did with my oldest at Fort Eustis, going through the Army as a 15 Tango, Black Hawk mechanic. Just being there for the soldiers and the stuff that we did with them and how they insisted. I said, okay, boys, we won't see you for Christmas. Merry Christmas. I want you to know them soldiers at his AIT group took up some money and made sure we were there for Christmas. So you know what I did? I made sure they had Christmas dinner. We and a couple of the wives of the people that were at AIT, we got together at somebody's house and we made them turkey and ham and sat outside. So, I mean, maybe somebody does want to hear it. Who knows? But don't sell yourself short. Tell your story.
Well, it's the first time I talked to you and you told me about how you kind of got started a little bit. You know, I was like, I can't wait to interview Marsha because your story is quite unique. Because for one thing, with not really having a love of history. I mean, now we've interviewed several ones now, and they were, most of the time they were, well, I was a history, I loved history from the start, you know, and the last guy that we talked to, he was a history teacher for years, you know, decades, you know, and he's, I think he said he's 80, is he 80 some, you think, what did Don say he was? He's 80 some years old now, and he still is trying to teach by portraying, Governor Buckner, and he loved it and loved history. Well, especially when it comes where you didn't really care for history, you know.
I hated it.
Now, see, for me, I was dyslexic, and so I just didn't learn anything. But when I got older and I started calming down a little bit, I guess you'd say, where you know, all the movies that I watched didn't have to have a lot of action into it,
right?
And all that stuff. And I started paying attention to more historical things and being able to learn more history and watch documentaries and everything. That's where I learned. And when we first moved out here and we saw that they do these Civil War reenactments, from the get-go, you and I were like, oh, I want to go see one of those so bad. And we got to see Battle of Richmond, and that was pretty good. But we went to see a World War II.
I want to see one of those.
And they had the last Tiger tank. It was a reconstructed Tiger tank. And my word, when they fired that thing off, and they said it wasn't even a full load. And I mean, I was probably, when they test fired it, I was maybe about 30 feet away, and it almost knocked me down. And I was off to the side. Yeah. And that percussion of that bang, you cannot
get you right here.
Yeah, you cannot feel that by watching something in a movie.
You cannot.
Reading something in a book.
That's why I say, come see one. Stand close to them cannons. You get them reenactors that as long as your parent is there, and especially if you're a child, they will let you pull that lanyard. They will let you feel that. Ooh, power, that's, wow. You feel it here. And even, you'll see, well, did you get to see the booms at Richmond?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, just...
But see, there was only what, 6 cannons on either side. If you're going to have more than that here, this is going to be quite...
We were just at Chickamauga, and there was at least 12 to 15 on that line, and I was smack in the middle of it, and I'm going, Oh gosh! The whole time I'm hit the commander of the tank. Listen at me. Of the cannon, he's Cap, and I'm trying to cap that cannon and get that ready, and then Ron's getting ready to load it, and as I'm doing that, there's cannons firing at any given point, and then just the amount of concussion and reverb and the power that you feel, and you're like, this actually happened in 160, years ago. Oh my God. It just crazy, and you gotta feel it. Yeah, you can see it all day long in a movie. I've watched a movie, Sweet Home Alabama. It's a movie. Her dad was a reenactor, and I'm going, good grief, do they really? And I'm like, didn't give a kitty. And then I got the kids in this, and I'm like, oh my God, now I understand. This is just mind-blowing and amazing. And
yeah, when you think about the steps you have to take in
yes.
the reenactment, but in live battle,
yes.
you had to be so much faster and
yes.
precise and
yes.
try to be as efficient as possible.
Yes.
Because otherwise, your lives and
yeah.
your troop, your men depended on it.
Exactly, and when you see a cannon and you see their limber box, once you see these reenactors, Thursday night, Thursday during the day, as soon as camp's up, they're in their clothing. They are back in 1800s. They have, even Ron, this cannon, okay, they might overtake us. Yeah, everybody's shooting blanks. Yeah, they've got sabers. The sabers will still cut you. On accident. It's happened. I've had to send a medic down to somebody last year. As a matter of fact, got too close to that saber and cut his cheek. He was okay, but, I mean, these are, they're blanks, but you will lose a finger. You will lose. I've got a burn going from here down to my stomach just from Chickamauga, from where a hot primer landed in my shirt. And they're like, well, button your top button. I said, I promise you the top button was buttoned. Well, the second day I tried to button the top button, the button fell off. So I was like running away from the cannon because I didn't want another hot primer because I had to dump water down my clothes to put the fire out. But these are they're very serious. Their limbers are locked because there's live rounds in there, and you don't want people to mess. Even our event, we don't like to let the spectators around the cannons unless we're there, because it takes a brief second for a small child to pick something up, throw it in that cannon, and it go down range and kill somebody on the field. Our motto is safety, 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 then fun. Because you can get hurt. You can really get hurt, even though it's blanks and it's playtime for us reenactors. We've been trained. We run through drills. Even the infantry. I was on dismounted cav unit at Chickamauga. Buddy, they did a promotion ceremony. Everybody's in their uniform. I was dressed up as my Bob character, and we went at it, and they actually did this. They pinned the man, and they're serious.
Yeah, blanks can kill, too.
Yes.
So
it's a very serious. We take our hobby, it is a hobby, but we take it seriously. And we want to share it with everybody.
We noticed at Battle of Richmond that they put some old firewood so many feet in front of the cannon that was the safe zone. That was they would not fire that cannon if anybody was
50 feet in front of the cannon
on inside that. And one of the things that Philip had said is that, okay, they take the gunpowder and they pack it in aluminum foil. Well, the thing is not all the aluminum foil may dissipate as it comes out, and so people have been known to get scratched and things if they were too close to it.
They will, and that's true, because on the cannon, you have the worm, the sponge, the dry sponge, and the ram. You have to, and even though it is blank, it's gunpowder. Granted, there's a little bit of flour in there to add more smoke, give the visual effect. They put it in the satchel, it's we call them a powder monkey. The powder monkey goes to the limber. They unlock, they're supposed to like unlock the round because they got to grab that limber and move at any moment. Okay, back in that time. So securing all of that stuff is very, very serious. And after you fire that round, you have to take that worm, and on the end of this rod is 2 metal prongs that are twisted, and you take it down the cannon barrel. But you have to, if you hold the rod as like this, you could lose a hand, because if there's something in there it didn't blow, that thing's going to go across the field and it's going to take your hands with it. So you have to practice safety, and you drill and you do this and you do that, and then you solve it. It's a whole thing, and you have to do it or somebody will get hurt, could get hurt. The cannon I was running this past weekend was a breech loader. It's loaded a lot different than what I'm used to, but the same thing applies. The aluminum foil, you're pulling it up out of the breech, and to make sure, because it doesn't all dissipate. We had to stop firing a cannon next to us because they were firing so much, and their cannon kind of went down towards the ground, caught the grass on fire. So we're having to go out in front of the cannon after we make sure it was empty and take fire extinguishers and stomp it out. So, very dangerous. You make sure you have what you need to take care of business, and during the event, there is an ambulance service on site just for these scenarios that could happen. And it can happen. And each person on the cannon crew has to watch a certain, like if we see horses coming up behind us, I've got video from Chickamauga, we've got horses coming up, and I'm going, stop, halt, cease fire, because these horses are getting too close, and we don't want them to go ahead, and because that concussion can hurt that horse as it's passing. It can get a piece of aluminum foil. We don't want that horse injured. Just a lot of things can go wrong, and you want to be prepared. But I wish everybody would come and watch us and be more involved. It's a dying art. It really is. And that's why I'm still doing what I'm doing.
Now, you said that you're going to be moving to Alabama next year. Mm-hmm. And so this will be the last time you'll be here. But are you going to still continue doing reenactments?
Yeah. This may not be my last time at Wildcat. It'll be my last time being president of Wildcat. But where I'm at, there's Tallahassee, there's Resaca, there's I can't even, Texas Hospital. I mean, there's reenactments all over. There's reenactors come from Alaska. And as a matter of fact, I was with them this weekend, and they've moved back to the States, But yeah, he'd come from Alaska to do reenactments.
Right.
There was a man from Germany at Chickamauga, a reenactor. So,
Nice.
you'd be surprised. The French and the German, they are so interested in our Civil War. We had a movie filmed here, and the crew was French. So was the director. They're French film. Well, not French film, but a French director. They were in hog heaven. They loved it. So, I encourage the children, whoever sees this, find out your history, find out your heritage, learn, figure it out, fall in love with it, fall in love with America again.
Like I say, when I was younger, I read Westerns, and I always...
Well, there we go.
That's all right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Always, and I could actually get so deep into it where I could actually envision myself being there.
Yes.
Smell the dust.
Yes.
When they're talking about the horses.
Oh,
I
yes.
could hear the horses.
Yes.
I could put myself in that situation. And so when I moved out here and being close to these battlefields, I was like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Because, this is stuff I've read about.
Yeah.
And like you say, I didn't so much hear about Wildcat, didn't hear about Richmond, I mean, I knew Richmond, but it was Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
Is the big one.
Yeah.
I didn't know, and Richmond's right in my backyard now. You know, and so I've gone and done that. I visited the visitor center, and that's where they gave me some information on my relative. And then we've done the battlefield, you know, and still, like I say, it's
And
being where, you know, this is now in my backyard, and all these battlefields are close by. You know, I see signs for, you know, we went to Elizabethtown, I saw Perryville. We went right through it. You know, I mean, I'd love to be able to go there and see that one. I'd love to come down and, you know, see some of these others down, like you're talking about, going down to Chickamauga, you know, and doing that one, because I saw signs when I was driving through Georgia, you know, and it's just like, man, I'd like to stop, but I just don't have time right now.
Yeah.
You know, but still, it's you know, when you're seeing these historical spots and knowing how close I am to them,
Yeah.
and stuff I've read about, you know, the Cumberland Gap and stuff, it's like,
Yeah,
you know.
it's, and I'm one of those event coordinators. I try to support as many events. Like right after our event, the very next weekend is Leatherwood. Go out to Leatherwood. I'm so wore out and still trying to clean up from this. I don't get to very often, but I've been at least once. And I encourage you all to go see one. Figure it out. You can Google Civil War reenactments, and you'll get it'll give you dates where they're located. A lot of these places have websites. Camp Wildcat has a website. WildcatBattle.com has our information. We have a Facebook page. You can see some pictures and videos on my Facebook page. There's pictures, videos, all kinds of stuff from where just starting out. Just, you know, oh my gosh, you know, too much family. And us reenactors were like, oh, it's a family reunion. It's time to go see the family, even though we're not related.
Yeah.
It's time to go see the family. It's time to go play. Let's go shoot some Yankees. Let's go shoot some Confederates, depending on which side I'm playing that week. Camp Wildcat, I'm Union or Federal, whichever one you want to call it. So, but it's do it. Fall in love with I say fall in love with yourself, because what we're doing is our history, your history. I guarantee you, if you go back far enough, you've got a family member that has had some capacity somewhere. Fall in love with yourself again.
well, some years ago, my older brother did a full family tree, and he went back and we're actually we're pretty much, I think, almost a direct descendant of Benjamin Franklin, and that's interesting for me to be able to say, you know, that is part of my family line, and it makes me want to learn more about Benjamin Franklin. Learn, you know, good or bad, you know. There's
Sons of Confederate Veterans has books that can tell you if you had a soldier. They can help you. They're good. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has a good genealogy library and access. That's a good place to go. I actually found out I have a relative that was in George Washington's Guard. He could have been with George Washington crossing the Potomac. He could have been one of the guys on the boat. I don't know. You know, I don't remember his name. I've got a lot. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of heritage. So learn it. Love it. Love yourself, because if it wasn't for your history, you wouldn't be you.
Yes.
And I believe that.
Somewhere along the line, I'm related to Butch Cassidy.
There you go.
according to my great aunt, her daughter had a guy come. He was writing a book, and he interviewed her, and somehow, you know, he traced her down. And so I haven't done my research and find out where, you know, how that all ties in. But yeah, I'd like to find out where it's actually, because
do it.
Mom says, you know, some of the pictures, it looks like it's one of the gang. Doesn't actually look like him, but
right.
It looked like it was one of the gang members. But, you know, I have no idea. I've just got to do my research and find out.
Do it. I've not done a genealogy in a while, but my mom and my dad were big on that. And I mean, everybody needs to be big on that. That's what made you you. That's what made your mom. That's what made your dad, you know. Learn that about yourself.
And it's also preserving that history for future generations.
Exactly, because it's getting lost. It's getting erased.
See, if it wasn't for my grandmother and our grandparents, our great grandparents, the ones that kept up on that kind of
Yeah.
thing, we wouldn't have known hardly anything.
Right.
You know.
And you need that. Everybody needs that. And I was patriotic before this. This just
Amplified it.
amplified it, but 100 or 1,000-fold. I mean, it just. People need to fall in love with America again, and the best way to do that is to do your history. Do your history, because I guarantee you've got a relative that was part of what made America America, and part of what made you you. Learn it, figure it out, be proud.
Interesting.
Well, I won't keep you any more in here today. I know you want to get changed and get
Oh,
cool
it's a little warm.
But,
We do thank you very much.
yes,
I appreciate it.
And we're going to be, like I said, I'm going to be following you around for
Not a problem.
and all that.
Not a problem.
Because I really want to see, and I want to be able to show
Me in action?
what goes into pulling one of these things off, and especially if you're going to do it and you're going to do it well.
I hope I do it well.
Yeah. Well,
I'm my own worst critic. I do not... Look, I will tell you, I don't do nothing. My husband and everybody... That's a lie, Marsha. You do this, and this. Look, I am one little cog in the wheel. Okay? I am one little cog in the wheel. Without some help and volunteers, I couldn't do what I love.
yeah.
And I can truly say I love it. Sometimes I hate it. And sometimes it drives me crazy. But I do love it. Do love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, thanks again, Marsha. And
Not a problem.
We will get Ron in here and see what he's going to do. Let's see. Dare him to top it. Is what I...
Good luck.